Cancellation has always been a very unpopular remedy under the UDRP, the Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy, and my analysis of last year's canceled domain names shows why I think trademark owners should never pursue this result. As GigaLaw's Domain Dispute Digest shows, the overwhelming majority of all UDRP decisions result in orders to transfer the disputed domain names to the trademark owners who file the complaints. In the second quarter of 2022, for example, more than 95% of all cases ended up with transfer decisions, while only a little more than 4% were denied. But that means there was a small sliver of decisions, about 1%, in which trademark owners essentially won their cases but saw the disputed domain names canceled instead of transferred. So the UDRP specifically allows a trademark owner to elect one of these two remedies when it files a complaint. It's right there in paragraph 4I of the UDRP. It says, the remedies available to a complainant pursuant to any proceeding before an administrative panel shall be limited to requiring the cancellation of a domain name or the transfer of a domain name registration to the complainant. But in reality, few trademark owners choose cancellation. And frankly, it's never once been a remedy that I've recommended for any of my clients in more than 20 years of handling domain name disputes. That's because my perspective is that any domain name worth pursuing through the UDRP is worth obtaining, if for no other reason than to keep it out of the hands of a future cyber squatter. Now, I know that many of my clients already have large domain name portfolios, sometimes numbering in the thousands. And they're really not that interested in adding more domain names to the mix, especially because every domain name has to be managed and renewed with an annual registration fee. But as I have always cautioned, there's a risk in canceling instead of transferring a domain name, because a canceled domain name simply becomes available for registration again by anyone, which means that the time and expense incurred by a trademark owner in filing a UDRP complaint may have to be repeated if the domain name is picked up by another cyber squatter. And that's exactly what my analysis shows. So I took a look at all of the domain names that were canceled via UDRP decisions last year in 2021. And although there weren't many of them, I found that as of this recording in August 2022, about 38% of them were being used in some way, which indicates these domain names were re-registered even after they were canceled as the result of UDRP proceedings. And here, let me show you exactly how some of them were being used. Many of the websites associated with these disputed domain names are now used in connection with PPC or pay-per-click sites. These are a type of monetized parking pages that are commonly used by cyber squatters to create affiliate links that are often, but not always, related to a trademark contained in the domain name. It's an easy way for a domain name registrant to generate some revenue without doing much of anything, except in these cases, of course, identifying and registering domain names that have been canceled through the UDRP. And some of the domain names used as PPC sites are now also being offered for sale, which might mean that if sold, they could end up being used in a different manner in the near future. Other previously canceled domain names I found are now being used in connection with websites that seem to be more directly competitive with the trademark owners who had filed the UDRP complaints. For example, a Brazilian shoe company had a number of domain names canceled through the UDRP that it alleged were being used by an unauthorized reseller. But now, some of these domain names are again being used to sell their shoes, and it's impossible to know if these are legitimate products, counterfeits, or something else. Similarly, a number of canceled domain names involve the OnlyFans trademark, which is associated with adult services offered by a company called Phoenix International in London. A cyber squatter has picked up many of these canceled domain names and is now using some of them for a website called StripChat, which also offers adult services. The point here is not really that these are porn sites, but that they are websites offering services similar to Phoenix, which could have avoided this issue if it had requested transfer, not cancellation, of the disputed domain names. In some other UDRP cases, also involving the OnlyFans trademark, the canceled domain names are now redirecting to non-competitive websites, such as those offering legitimate goods or services that probably offer affiliate programs that can be abused by cyber squatters. And these too represent potential lost traffic for Phoenix International, the trademark owner. And finally, some of the domain names I identified that had been canceled through the UDRP process are now being used to redirect to a variety of various websites that appear to offer suspicious services, be engaged in misleading activities, or otherwise trick internet users into taking unwanted actions, like this fake warning from Apple Security about an expired antivirus subscription. Now, I've seen these deceptive sites increasingly being used by cyber squatters, so it's no surprise that they're also doing so by using previously canceled domain names. So given all of these different types of activities, I really just don't understand why a trademark owner would incur the time and expense of filing a UDRP complaint and seek any remedy other than transfer of the disputed domain names. I actually have to wonder if some trademark owners are under the mistaken belief that cancellation means a domain name will be permanently suspended, but that's not the case. A canceled domain name simply means that the current registration is canceled, but the domain name then becomes available again for registration by anyone. Fortunately, there aren't many trademark owners who request cancellation. The 117 canceled domain names that I identified from last year's UDRP decisions were held by only 7 different trademark owners, both because some trademark owners filed multiple complaints and some of the complaints included multiple domain names. So this isn't really a big problem, and I don't know why any of these trademark owners chose cancellation over transfer. But if the 38% re-registration rate that I found from last year's canceled domain names is any indication, I just can't fathom why any trademark owner would want to take the risk of seeing a UDRP victory undermined by an opportunistic cyber squatter, which is why I have always recommended the transfer remedy for my clients. If you want to learn more about the UDRP, please check out my masterclass on domain name disputes, as well as other resources on my GigaLaw website. And be sure to subscribe to the GigaLaw YouTube channel to be notified of future videos discussing other internet legal issues. Thanks for watching, and see you next time online.